All right, so let's get straight to what we have for today, right? So basically, okay, so this today being Monday and we are into week 5, and what we're looking at today is the front end development class. This is our section 1 of week 5 um, GitHub Bootcamp, right? So today we are going to look at a couple of things, and basically we're going to be focusing on front end. So this section or this class entirely is basically meant for those that have decided to go into front end. The back end class will not be holding this. The back end won't be holding today. Maybe from next session it will start, or by next week, or hopefully soon as it will start, right? So we have here our HTML and CSS foundations. That's basically what we're going to be covering, and that's basically what we are going to be looking at. So yeah. So introduction to HTML, that's our first session. So this is our agenda that we'll have today. But before we go on, I want to do an introduction of myself as instructor. My name is Moses Sunday, and I'm a full stack blockchain developer. So I'm going to be taking us on week 5, throughout week 5, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday as well, right? So these are the agendas that we have for today. It's quite simple and is an introductory class to what front end entails and what we are going to be seeing from this moment onwards, right? We're going to be looking at understanding how the web works, the role of HTML, the document structure, working with basic elements in HTML, semantic HTML and structure tags and all that, right? Forms and user inputs. And I believe that we all came with our systems, that is our laptops, and I want the class to be an interactive class. I won't want it to be me talking alone. Maybe if you have questions, you can drop it on the chat box. You can, if you have questions, definitely drop it on the chat box. And if there's need for you to maybe ask questions using your mic, you can indicate by raising up your hand so that you can be given the opportunity for that, right? Okay, so let's go dive deep right away to understanding how the web works, okay? So basically, everything that we're going to be looking at is going to start from really understanding how the web works. How does this web, how does everything really work, and what goes on under the hood? So going from the image that I have there, going from this picture that I have there, I have an individual that have come to his laptop and that now comes here and type maybe let's say facebook.com. So when the individual types facebook.com, a request, let's say a request, or there's something that is sent, and that the facebook.com that the individual typed on the URL section of his or her browser is taken from the browser and sent across through the protocol. We have some protocols that the protocols here are more like some languages that the internet. Okay, thanks for that. So the protocol here that we have is some languages that the um, the internet understands and uses in communication. So the protocols here are the languages that the internet uses and understands for communication. So an example of it is the HTTP. We have a lot of other ones that are there. So when the user comes and type, let's say facebook.com, and yeah, so types facebook.com. So though the facebook.com is taken and sent to a server that is located somewhere. So the server, you're not seeing the server, but the server is existing. The server is more like a computer system also that is stored or that is running somewhere else, maybe at Amazon or maybe at even Facebook headquarter that is maybe outside Nigeria and all that, right? So all these things are in this thing, and when it reaches there, it's going to search and look for, is there any resources that is tied to this facebook.com that this individual entered here and is looking to get a response from, right? If there's an information that is tied there, so those information or those data is now returned to the user that typed facebook.com. And when it comes back using the HTTP response, which is the protocol that the internet uses to work, right? To communicate to users and the internet itself. So it comes back as a website that displays hello world. So let's say what the individual types, let's say, is a facebook.com, and what comes back is a landing page or a login page. So this is what really happens. This is the underlying hood of everything that happens. So the user comes to his or her laptop or a mobile phone and then types facebook.com. So the facebook.com, that is the URL, is taken and sent to a to check, is there any information that is tied to this our request that is being sent there. So if there's any information, it returns the information and displays it to the user. That's basically what happens. And this is what we refer as the architecture of the web, or let's say how the web works. So messaging on Facebook, browsing, or doing a lot of things using ChatGPT. This is everything. This is how it works. When you send a request, when you ask a question, when you send a message, this is basically what happens. It goes from your phone to a server and back to your phone. And basically, that should be our next slide, right? And we're equally going to we're going to look at some difference between HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. By the way, I made mention, I forgot to tell us that for every website that we're going to be working on, or that we are going to be building, or you're going to be developing, we have three major components that build up those websites. So we have the HTML, we have CSS, and we have the JavaScript. And basically, we're going to be focusing on HTML for this section. Then subsequent sections are going to be looking at CSS and JavaScript. And HTML is more like the building block. Like basically now we want to build a house, right? We want to build a house. So when you start building a house, you're going to first of all lay your foundations, right? All those foundations you are laying, digging the ground, getting concrete, mixing, and setting up your blocks. All those blocks that you are setting up, those things are the HTML that you are doing. Okay. So CSS is for styling, where you now try, okay, I'm done laying down my blocks, I'm done plastering. It's now time for me to now style, add paint, add interior house decoration, and JavaScript is for adding activity. Maybe when you click a button, there is a drop down on the page. All those stuff is what happens with JavaScript, or what JavaScript helps us to do. Okay, so then we have semantic elements. So semantic elements are more like few HTML elements that we're going to look at soon that enables us to give more definition give more description of what each section of our page is basically going to be doing, right? So that's what we have here. So I'm going to go straight to the next slide that we have. But before we go to the next slide that we have, if you are joining with your laptop or if you have a laptop with you, I want you to right click on any site that you can get your hands on, and you will see the place that you have inspect. So right click and you will see the place that you have inspect. So open the inspect button, open the inspect section, and I want you to take a look at how the HTML of that website looks like. So this is I'm going to switch to another screen, and okay, so I'm going to switch to another screen and show us some. Okay, okay, so I'm going to ready, and I'm I'm going to come to the inspect section, and when I open this inspect, by the side, I'm going to see the HTML of the page. So this element that I have here is the HTML of this particular slide that I'm showing here. So these are the elements that makes up the particular slide. So these are basically what we are going to look at today and see how we can do this ourselves, right? Okay, so going straight to the next slide because of time. So we are going to now look at our HTML document structure. So first of all, you have to understand that your HTML, or like every page that you are working on, is more like a letter that you are writing. It's more like an A4 paper letter that you are writing to someone that you are sending through the internet, and you are telling the individual, okay, I have this letter for you. Open it and see what I have for you, right? Be formatted and to have a better writing way. The same thing applies with our um, web page. So for each web page that we have some format that we are meant to follow. So first of all, we are going to have the doc type, and then the doc type HTML syntax that we have here. What it does is a declaration. It tells the browser are being used prior to now to we are simply rendering using HTML5. We have other ones like XML, we have HTML, which doesn't have HTML5, right? All these are what we all these are what we specify. So first of all, we're going to have doc type. I'm still going to go to my code editor to show this and show the practical use of this, right? So we have after that, we're not going to have our HTML tags. So HTML tag here is with these tags, the HTML, the head, the title, the meta are the core structural tags that define the document, the metadata, the page title, and the settings for the browser. Okay, so for instance, here HTML here is the start of the HTML. Like we will build a house, we have a building or erect a structure using HTML. So the HTML is the building block, and for we to do anything and render it or show it on the browser, we are going to be using HTML, HTML tags, and those HTML tags need to be wrapped or need to be housed inside of a HTML. That on Google, let's say for sports. So let's say tennis sports. So when you after formatting and putting the sports title that you have for this particular website or web page, and when someone goes on the search engine and types anything related to sports, what enables your website to rank higher is the format, like is the information that you are giving to this metadata here. So we're going to all see that and see how to do all that, right? So we have the title. So the title is what appears on the browser. So for instance, if you watch here, you can see here that I have week 5, section 1, HTML and CSS foundation. So this is what this current slide is having as its title, right? So this is what is having as its title and all that and all that. So without saying much, let's go straight to our code editor. And also, if you have your code editor open, your VS Code, your cursor, your Windsurf, any of it, just join me because I really want the class to be interactive. I don't want to be the one talking all the time, right? So I'm going to start. I already have most of the code here, but I'm going to delete all this, right? and start afresh. So first, I'm going to, okay, let me comment because of time. Okay, so I'm going to comment all this. All right, so I'm going to comment all this. And what I did here was, please, if my screen, I think I should zoom in a bit. Yeah, okay, better. Yeah. Okay, so I have my code editor here. So my code editor, yours can be your VS Code, um, it can be Cursor, it can be Windsurf, it can be any code in coding editor at all that you choose to use, right? But preferably, I will advise or I will suggest um, you go with VS Code as beginners, right? Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Please, if you can hear me, let me if you can hear me, give the thumbs up, please. I'm getting, please, if you can hear me, thumbs up, thumbs up. Let me know. I'm just trying to. Okay. But I think at some time it breaks. All right. Okay, I know at some time it breaks, but I will try as much as I can to cover whatever I've said so far. Um, okay. Okay, so going ahead, um, this first of all to start any when we open our code editor. I know that maybe this is not our first time using a code editor, but let's assume that today is our first time using a code editor, right? So when you open the code editor, you are going to have an interface similar to this, and then you can come to under your file explorer, more like your folders that you have in your drive. And then when you want to create a new file, you can right click on this place and create new file. And since we are working with HTML, our code extension, our file extension rather, is going to be whatever, like you're going to give it a name that you want to use. You're going to give it a name that you want to use .html. Okay, so you're going to give it a name that you want to use .html. So let's say I want to name this um, home. So I want to call the file home. Maybe the file is the home page that I want to build a home page. So after creating the file, I'm going to give it .html. And when I press enter, so for me to start writing my code now, my HTML file, my HTML code, I don't just start writing my code and expect it to work. No, like I said, we have some guide, we have some procedures that we're going to follow. That we are going to tell our browser that okay, this is what I really want to do. I want this file to be shown on the browser as a website and not as an ordinary um, text or as an ordinary file. So first of all, we're going to start with the doc type. And one thing that is okay by using VS Code or any of this modern code editor is that you have autocomplete when working. So we're going to have our doc type. So we'll have exclamation mark, then doc type, and HTML. And currently, what this does is it tells our browser, okay, we're using HTML5. And HTML5 enables us to have more advanced um, elements in building our applications. That's basically what happens here. So we're saying that we want this to use HTML5 to show or to be shown on the browser. Then the next thing we're going to have is we're going to have our HTML tag. We're going to have our HTML tag, right? And after that, we're going to specify that we want our language to be rendered in English language, right? So this is what happens. We have saying, okay, we want our language to be English language. That's basically what happens here. Then after that, we're going to have a closing tag. No, we're going to have a closing tag of that HTML that we created. Our website is going to be basically be inside everything we're going to be doing is going to be inside of this opening and closing tag of HTML. So I'm going to move this down so that I can put every other thing inside here. All right. So I have my HTML, and the next thing I'm going to now have is my head tag, right? So the head tag here, what it does is it gives us more information about the site we are developing. Okay, so I'm going to have my head tag,
Is it me or something? I can't hear you, sir.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Tutor is going to join very soon. So sorry about the hiccup, but enjoy soon.
Please, if you can hear me, let me see a thumbs up, please. Sorry, my network was bad. If you can hear me, a thumbs up. Okay, thank you so much. And I don't really know where you stopped hearing me from, but I would like to get the place that I went off from the chat. If you can type, was it when I shared my screen on my code editor?
It's good evening, sir. It was when you were saying about head start. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that. Okay, so you can see my screen, everyone, right? I believe. If you can see my screen, a thumbs up, please, so I know that you are with me. Okay, thanks. Okay, so back to what I was saying. We've created our page, and here now we have some meta. So this meta is giving us more information or more data that we want to give to our website to tell the browser, okay, this is what this website, this is what this for GIDA Bootcamp. So something similar to this. So you can specify a lot of information Yeah. Is a standard that is being recognized, that is being recognized by your so that but then we have a like the viewport for that your they try to like say when I was saying you're going to see on the tab of your web
Sorry, I can't hear you.
application, right? So here, if I open this application now, you go to say you be saying come here say that I have to this computer to make okay, still is basically our basically have can anyone hear me now? Confirm please. Cancels. Okay. Yeah. On that. Okay. Sorry for the inconveniences. Okay, so let me share my screen. Uh, a minute, please.
So your this thing is muted. Your mic is muted, sir.
If you can see my screen, please a thumbs up. If you can see my screen, a thumbs up, please. All right, thanks. Okay, so going forward, I'm going to get a fast name because of this now. All right, so after this, after the head, we have the HTML, we have the head. Then after the head, we're going to have the body tag. So what the body tag does for us is the body tag gives us the section or the place that we are meant to write the actual code that we want to show on our browser. So everything we have been doing all this while is to format our website, or yeah, to format our website so that it's recognized by the browser and all that and all that. So to start writing our code now, we are going to be doing that inside of the body tag. Okay. So anything we now write inside of the body tag, that's what we're going to have. Okay. So basically, we have here now, I have here a sample of what we have as our web page. So I'm going to show this on our browser, but meanwhile, we will need we'll be needing an extension. We'll be needing an extension to help us to show what we are doing on our code to our browser. So this is basically what I have on my browser because that was what I typed on my code editor. So let me zoom in a bit. So this is what I have on my browser due to what I have on my code editor here. All right. So, and I'm using an extension, and the name of the extension is my lifesaver. So when you go to your extension tab on your code editor, you search for lifesaver and install lifesaver. Then when after installing lifesaver, what it enables you to do is to run or open your HTML So when you click on open with lifesaver, it's going to open on your browser for you. All right. So this is what we have. Okay. So I'm going to continue with the next slide that we'll have, which is working with basic elements, right? So working with basic elements, so far we've been able to see how to set up our, let me say, configuration of our website. So for you to be able to start doing anything on, for you to be able to start doing anything on the website or building any application, you will need to, first of all, configure your files so that the doc type, it will have the HTML element, that is the HTML tag, it will have the header tag, it will have the body tag. And but there is a short way to go about this, right? So instead of maybe typing one after the other, everything I typed here, what you can basically do is, let's say I'm going to create a new file here now. Let me zoom out a bit. So I'm going to create a new file here called about. So let's say I want to build, I want to develop the HTML. I want to develop the about page. So once I have the about.html ready, I can start typing my HTML. And then I'm going to select the HTML5. Please, if, can you still see my screen? Can still see my screen? If you can still see my screen, a thumbs up, please. All right, thanks. You scroll down and select HTML5. So selecting HTML5 gives you a template or a scaffold of everything that we just did, right? So start, you don't need to go again typing doc type, HTML, blah, 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 and every other thing. So all this gives you the starting template of a simple HTML file. So what you just need to do is now start working inside of the body and start typing whatever thing you need to type, right? So just come to, after creating your file, type HTML and then select HTML5. All right. So you have that. Okay. So having said that, I'm going to go back to my slide and continue with the presentation. Web page. So we need to know basic HTML element that will have on our HTML. So we need to headings. You need to know we have headings. Head, so this heading, or like when writing a letter, or let's say when you read book, when you read book, when you I want to use an article that we have different size of it, where you can do it with that be does to represent this heading.
Sorry, sir. Your voice is cracking. Your voice is cracking. I cannot hear you.
For that, right?
So your voice is cracking. Your voice is cracking.
H1 to H6 to work. So we have graph. Like as you see, read my graph. Let's move to the next thing that we have, right? Okay, good. So
I can't even see his
okay, fine, fine,
screen. I
fine.
can't see your
Thank you.
screen.
Okay. Wow.
I've left, rejoined the group. I can't see the
Okay,
screen.
coming. I'm coming, please. Okay. Please, if you can see my screen, let me see
Sorry,
some thumbs up, please.
your voice is breaking a lot.
You can see my screen, some thumbs up, so I know that it was okay. Thank. Okay, network. I'm just trying to um. Okay, I will try as much as I can to get there. Okay. So back to the elements that we are working on. Back to the element that we are working on. So we have so far we've been able to establish the configuration. Yeah, I get it. It's network. It's both. It's both. Uh, am I audibly enough now? Am I
Yes,
audibly
yes, you are. Thank you. You are.
enough? Can you see my screen? Okay, thank you. All right. So ex- okay. So the heading that we have here now, this is the heading one. So the heading one, we use the head one, right? So I'm going to open this on my browser so that you can see how this looks like. So that it won't be more of talking. So I'm going to right click, and I believe by now we must have downloaded the live server extension I talked about. So I'm going to right click on this file and scroll down. When I open my live server, I'm going to see the application, right? So this is how the headings are going to look. This is my heading one, right? So this is my heading one here. I believe we can see that. This is my heading two. This is my heading two. Serial. I have my heading six. So these headings are a way of sectioning or giving emphasis of maybe let's say title, subtitle of what we are working on. So you are building an application and you want to catch the user's eye, like you want to grab the user's attention. So you need to use some headings that will grab the user's attention. Okay. So you don't want to, you're not meant to sort of use it in six when you want the user to see that, oh, this is an offer that I'm giving to this individual to click on this link, pay me so amount, and go away with my product, leaving his money with me, right? You want the user to be able to see that in a bold format. So the headings, the headings you are going to use literally matters, right? So that's that. So we've seen headings, and then we use our H1 to H6 to define those. Then we have paragraph. So this is a paragraph that I have there. So let's see how we'll do that in our code editor. So this is a paragraph that I have there, and we just, when you start typing your P, if you click on, once the P comes out and you click on it, you can start typing anything you want to type. And when you save and I open my browser, you're going to see that the gibberish I type is showing on my browser, right? So the gibberish I just typed there is showing on my browser. So that's one thing about that. So then we have back to my code editor, we have the list. So we have two types of list basically. We have the unordered list and we have the ordered list, right? So the unordered list, we use the UL to specify the unordered list. So this is an list, right? On ordered list, can we see please if you can see my screen? You can see my screen. Can I get some thumbs up, please? Okay. So sorry for the network punctuation. All right. So going forward, the unordered list doesn't give us, like I was saying on list, the unordered list doesn't give us um, numbering or order of which one comes first, which one comes second. We only have some items that are arranged or organized, but we don't know the ones that comes first or the ones that comes next. Okay. But ordered list, what ordered list does is ordered list numbers or gives us the order at which the items occurs. All right. So I'm going to then we have inside the unordered list and ordered list. This is we use the UL for unordered list. Unordered list doesn't give us the hierarchy of the list, while ordered list, that is OL, ordered list gives us the hierarchy of. Yeah, sure. I will share the slide. I will share the slide after the class, please. I will share the slide on the WhatsApp group after the class. All right. So the ordered list gives us the hierarchy. That's what happens. So if I have there now, if I add more list items over here in my unordered list and add the same in my ordered list, when I open this is that the unordered list is going to just have something like dot dot dot, but my ordered list and so on and so forth. So let's look at that and see what we've got. Okay, so this is what I have. If you can see my screen, I believe so. You see my screen. So here I have, so opening this on my browser, and on my browser now I have these are my ordered list, right? We have other elements that we work with. We have other elements like links. Links are there to help us to create well, network. Excuse me, please. A minute, please. So let me share my my screen. Okay, so for my links, the links that we have there are anchor. We call it anchor tag. And how do we do that? I'm going to use I'm going to use the code, the screenshot I have on my slide here to show. So here I have my anchor tag, and how do we do that? We just start the anchor tag with our a tag, and then the a tag now has the href inside of it, and then you can then put in the link, that is the text that you want to appear on the browser. So for instance, I have link ahref here, and if I do that, I've done that already. Because of time, that's why I'm skipping this. So this is what I'm going to get on my browser. On my browser, I'm going to have this link here that I have, that is pink in color, or that is purple in color rather. Then this link that I have there, if I click on it, it's going to take me to somewhere else. But currently, we've not set where it's going to take us to. Because where we do that is inside of the href. That's where we do that. So here in my a, then space href equal to quotation. So the quotation mark there is where we're going to specify where the link should take us to when we click on it, right? So maybe you want someone to click on your link and get to talk to you on maybe WhatsApp or all those stuff. So this is where you're going to specify where the link should take the person to, right? So we have the next thing we have is the image tag. That's the image element. So the image element enables us to render image to the browser. So what we mean by that is to display an image to the browser. That's basically what I'm saying. So when we want to show an image to the browser, how do we do that? We use the img tag or the img element. And the img element is going to have some features or some attributes. So the src that you see here is called attributes. So these attributes are more like other things that you can see inside of a tag, right? So this is still our image tag, and inside of it we have we have the src, which is the source. And what the source does there is the source specify where the image is coming from. Like, where is the image coming from? That's what the source specifies for us. So the image, we can specify, you can choose to give your image, you can choose to give the image tag an image that is currently on your laptop, or an image that is posted Okay, you can go somewhere else and you can get an image that is on your image. The image you copied, the URL you copied, is going to be what is shown. All right. All the while is more like the basic elements that we have in building our applications, right? So when we want to build our applications, these are basic elements we will definitely be doing. We deal with what the heading, image tag, what the anchor tag. There are a lot of them that we'll be dealing on. Okay, so I mean, in a human and machine readable way, right? In simple terms, when we does content, it's inside the element. So basically, what happens there is most people, I know that majority of the people that you've seen so far that uses smart devices or devices like phones, laptop, or any other thing are people that can see. And yeah, people that can see. Let me just say people that can see. But most times, the other set of people that you've not seen are people that they can't see, but they still browse, right? They can't see because that can't see, but people that can see and all those stuff. But people that may not really be able to have time to look at the content that they are web page and using maybe an audio player that is maybe an page. So all these things can be helpful if you use semantic elements to build your applications. Instead of only using the basic tags, basic elements that we've looked at previously, you can and it's simple. It's not really something that you should worry about. It's using my application. I want when the user comes here, this is where the application begins, right? So inside the header, right? That's what the header is going to have. Then it's the header there. I believe you can see my screen. Network. Okay, yeah. So on my right, where I have my screenshot from my code editor, I don't want to go back to my code editor again, but I think going to and through that, it delays and probably locks me out. So on my header here, I have the opening tag and the closing tag. So this, although I don't have anything inside, but most of the things that you're going to see inside of the header are going to be your navigation, your your brand logos, um, your title, maybe some welcome page, some welcome titles, welcome text, and all those stuffs, right? Your brand logos, your brand name, and all those stuff. So those are the things that you're going to see inside of the header, and they are going to be basically be at the top of your application. Okay. Then we have the navigation, the nav. So this nav is like we have there. It's going to be what houses or what encloses your navigations that you have. Okay, so your navigations that you have, these are what the semantic element that is going to tell your browser, okay, currently at the navigation. So this is how my navigation looks like. Okay, so basically what I have there is more of how our HTML alone. This is how it's going to look like. Then when we now work with CSS, we're going to add more styles, add more design, add more beautification so that it will now look like a full mature header. So let me see. Okay, I don't really have a header here. I don't have a navigation here. Okay, yeah. So back to over here on YouTube, let me just use this as an example. Over here on YouTube, I have this icons here and I have these navigations here. So these navigations here are what, if I click on them, I'm going to get other search results that I have, right? I'm going to get other search results that I have if I click on this YouTube, and if I click on all these navigation. And these are what we are going to be looking at, how to do this, how to make it look in line like this, instead of, because if you open the if you open the one that we have here, you will see that we have a lot of search results. So if I click on this, it will now show me, okay, it's just going to look it's just going to look this way. It's just going to look like a list item like this. It's going to basically look like a list item. So it's not going to be in that strict format, right? So these are the things that we're going to look at when we go to um, CSS and all that. So then we have the section like I have here is saying this is the main content and all that. So anything that you want to be in the main content, maybe what your website is all about, this is where you now put it. Then article, you want to write an article, this is where you put it. Then footer. So what footer does is footer gives more information about your web application. So let's say, let me see if I can get, okay, there's no footer here. There's no footer. Okay, there's no footer because of time. Um, no, there's no footer here. Okay, so but what footer does is footer are just the elements that you are going to see when you visit a page. Those sections that I'm going to see at the bottom of those page, those are footers, those are footer content. So they are going to be wrapped inside of the footer tag. That's basically what happens there, right? Okay, so we have the other thing that we have is please, if you have questions, you can drop on the chat box. If you have questions, you can drop on the chat box. So the other, okay, so the other elements that we can have um, aside from these basic elements, semantic elements are the form elements, right? So the form elements are the form elements are what enables you to create more like a sign-up page. You've come to a website and you say sign up, login, all those stuff. So all those stuff are forms. You use forms to collect data from the user that is coming to your web application. So you don't just grab or get the user's data by magic or by Arakata or like that. You use the form to get the user's data, and it really matters how you do that, right? But the security wise, well, we're not looking at the security section now. We're looking at how do we really do that with the form. Okay, so to do that, I would really like to share my. I really want to get my code editor because I think this should we really need this. Okay, so over here, I have, let me zoom out a bit. I believe you can see my screen. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to open my, I'm going to go to my live saver and open this so that you see, whoa, no. No. Okay, I'm going to comment on this. I just need to see of this. Okay, so okay, I'm going to work with just few. I just want to show some stuff. Okay, first of all, let me remove all this. So I'm inside of my application here with my um scaffold HTML5, and we are working on form. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start with the form tag or form element. And when I click on enter, it's going to give me an opening and closing tag for form. So inside of the form, I can then start putting the elements that I need, right? So we have a lot of elements that we're going to, that you can come across in form. We have, we call them basically the elements that you use in getting data. The element that you use in getting data from the user is called input element, right? So let's say you want the user to give you his or her name. You are going to use the input element and specify, okay, this is, I want this to be for name and all that. So I'm going to do input element here, and input elements, right? Okay. So I have these input elements here. And what if I open this on my browser? This is what I'm going to get. So this is how it's going to look like. And though it doesn't look like a form or sign up form, but by the time we keep adding other elements to it, you see it keep growing, becoming better and all that. So users can come in here, type in whatever they want to type, and maybe they can click on OK, and the page submits for them, right? So back to our code editor here. I have my form input, then I have the type. Remember, these inputs are elements. So each element in form are those that you use to retrieve. Let me use the word element that you use in retrieving data from your visitor. So we have the input type. So these input elements, we have various of them. So, and we specify the one we want to use based on the type that we are specifying. So for instance, I was able to type text, like I was able to input some alphabets inside of that input element that I have there, right? So I can choose to specify and say, okay, I don't want your name, I don't want your surname, I don't want your first name, I need your email, right? So what I can come here to do is I can say input element, and in that type, the place that I have type, I'm going to change it to email, right? So I'm going to change it to email. And the good thing there is you may not really know all these, you may not have them offhand, right? But once you start typing them, your code editor will help you to complete them. Okay, so if I come here now, I have email, and what happens in this email is this email must ensure that the data you are putting into it must be in the format of an email. So if I come back to my, so this is for my what's it called, for my text. I can put in any text at Gmail or at Yahoo Mail, whatever. So that and at Gmail must be there to ensure that, okay, this is the email type that we are specifying. So we have a whole lot of it. We have a whole lot. So you can think of, and as you're typing them, you can see the different email, the different input type you can you can think of. You have the button, that's the button for submission, right? You have the checkbox. Checkbox is when you are asked, are you a male or a female? So you want to tick whether you're a male or female. All those stuff, these are checkbox. You have dates where you have to choose a date, maybe date of birth, all those stuff. So those are our input elements, right? Then we have password. So for password, let's look at password. For password, what password does is password will hide the password will hide. Can this see my screen? This is see my screen. Okay. Okay. So password will hide whatever thing you are typing. So if I start typing now, I don't see the thing I'm typing, right? Because I'm using a password type, all right? So that is most of the elements that we are going to have on our form. So having all this now, we want to specify, okay, we want to add a button to submit this. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to use the button element. So the button element inside of the form, remember all these things we are doing is going to be inside of the form. if it's outside of the form, it won't really work as you expect. Everything will still be showing on your browser, but they won't work. Like you can still put in your elements, you can still put in your user's data, but it won't get to you as the one that is requiring those data. So I'm going to specify my button, which is submit, and between my opening and closing tag, I'm going to put in the text that I want the user to see once they want to click on the button. So I'm going to put in register here, register, and when I come to my browser, I can see my three input elements. This is my text, this is my um, email, then this is my password, and then I'll register. So when I click on this register, what the register does for us, it submits the form for us. So basically, we are just interested in the elements. We are not interested in where the form is, where the data is going to, which is the backend aspect of the application. We're not interested in styling for now. We're just interested in the the building blocks of the form. Okay, so but here now, all this we have is a bit confusing because we can't tell if a user comes here, he or she can't tell which one is which which input element is for which one. We can't the user can't tell is this frame or all that. So we have other features inside the each or to give more details, something like placeholder. So placeholder are text that you're going to see inside of the input element that tells you more about that element, right? But once you start typing those placeholder, this is meant to be for our. So let's say this is for our name, this is for our email, then this is for our password. Okay. So I'm going to come here inside my placeholder. I'm going to place my. I'm going to say enter. I'm going to say full name, right? Then inside my input element for email, I'm going to place and placeholder and say email, and then inside for password, I'm going to say if you can see my screen, please give the thumbs up so that I will know. If you can see my screen, please give a thumbs up, please. Oh, okay. Okay, a minute. Think this stops. Okay, if you can see my screen, please, can I get the thumbs up? If you can see my screen, can I get a thumbs up, please? If you can see my screen, Can I get some reactions? Okay. Okay, all right. Please, if you can see my screen, can I get some reactions, please? So sorry for the network issues. If you can see my screen, can I get some reactions? Okay, so I was explaining some stuff about um I was explaining some stuff about the placeholder and every other thing that we can say um inside so basically, let's say this is our form that we are building to sign up or register a user on our platform. So basically what happens there is when we are done filling this form, when we click on the register button, the form submits because we specify that the type of the button that we will have there is submit. We can have other types of form, we can have other type of button, right? You can have um, reset, you can have cancel, but mostly you are going to have enables us to have some um, have a bigger place to put in text, more like a comment section, a big comment section that you've always seen on applications. So that's what text area does for us. So text area does, it gives us a larger view of where to add text when we go into a form. So it's still part of a form element. And then you can specify the height, you can specify the height of the text area, you can specify the width of the text area and all that. Okay. So if we look at this now, excuse me. So if we look at so if we look at the height and then let's say we're giving it 40 and then we give width, give it, let's say give it 40 as well. So if we open this on our browser, um, so this is what we have as our text area. So you can choose to expand it. And when we expand this, let's say we expand the height to be 140 and the width to be 240, right? So I'm going to remove this message here and just leave it blank because we don't really need anything to be inside of it. Why? Why am I not getting? Why doesn't it expand? Okay. Okay, but then the text area, it can grow as much as you want it to grow. So you can choose to expand it I will look into that. So you can choose to expand your text and others. Okay. So back to my slide. Please, if you have questions, you can drop on the chat and it's alternative. So what we need to also look at when dealing with form is the action that you have on the form. So for instance, over here that I screenshotted, you will see that on the form tag, you will see action inside of it. So this action tells your form where to send the data that is being collected, right? So when user enters their data, the action there tells the user or tells you where do you really want this form to be sent. And that's basically what the backend developers gives you as maybe your database, your APIs, and all that, right? So I don't want to bug us with backend technologies for now, for terminology, let's just focus on what we're doing, right? So the action attributes tells is going to do. We've done a lot, we've talked about a lot, and that brings us to the end of the class. I know that there are a lot of questions that we'll have, and also I'm going to share the slide with us on WhatsApp. Okay, so any questions, please bring up question, any question. Any question? Oh, yeah, go ahead and ask a question.
When we are navigating, uh, is it that once the button is inserted, do we add a link to it so that once you click on the navigator button, it can direct us to another page, like what you showed us on YouTube?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.